Hey, what's going on, everybody? Adam here, episode 12 of season 4 already. It is Thanksgiving already. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope y'all had the best day ever or are still having the best day ever. Maybe you're on the West Coast or, a party animal. I'm home. I'm chilling now. And I had a great day. So, uh, this edition of What Did Adam Say is extra special for you. It is not live streamed. I did record it beforehand at Lausanne MMA, which is where a lot of local legends in the Massachusetts MMA scene have gone, including my friend Slippery Pete, Peter Barrett, who I interviewed on this episode that you're about to watch. So I really hope that you enjoy. He's a professional MMA player, really smart guy, really, really good with diet and nutrition and just having a good mindset. And I really respect his grind back to be able to accomplish some of the goals that he's looking to set out to accomplish in life. So enjoy this. Let's get into it right now and enjoy the show.
Wait, what am I doing? Created a movement, won't ruin what you are pursuing. But I wake up every morning, never yawning. Cause I wake up with the intent to make today my bitch. And I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. I wake up with the intent to make today my bitch. And I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. I'ma make it. Yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. This shit is crazy, right? This shit is crazy.
This is the first podcast that I've done in person in almost 2 years since the pandemic started, March 2019. We're basically the 2 weeks going on 2 years now.
True.
And I'm so excited for today because Pete and I have been trying to get this scheduled for so long. But today I have someone who's become a really good friend of mine over the past year or so. Slippery Pete, Peter Barrett, professional ass kicker.
What up?
He's a professional MMA fighter. And you guys, it's an MMA fighter, right? Not player. Do some
Fighter, yeah, we don't play.
Yeah, we don't play, you said. I mean, you guys kind of do. I've seen your training videos and everything. You guys play around a lot. But, dude, filming at Cage Titans was crazy because it's like, I got to go to Cage Titans and watch you from the stands, and it's nerve-wracking, dude. Like,
I bet.
Because, I care about your safety a lot, and I want you to win. So it's like, I'm, sitting there, go. Every time something happens, it's like, ugh. Filming cage side, I was really hard to control myself, dude. So hard to control myself in some of the moments. I don't think I did. When you hit him with a knee in the body, and I saw, because I'm literally this close to you.
I was right underneath you.
Yeah, right? You need him, and I'm like, ooh. That shit's gotta be so intense, right? You talked about hours of training going into 15 minutes of time. And that's got to be intense, but how do you train for the crowd too? Because that's got to play something into it, right?
Yes and no?
Yeah?
Yeah, there's not much you really want to, you can definitely get caught up in the crowd and let it be overwhelming and kind of psych you out. Or you can just kind of let it be noise in the background and focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah.
The crowd's great to get amped up a little bit before you get in there, or to dust your nerves off, you know what I mean, for that walk down to the cage. But it's really just about being in the moment and having some fun, at least for me. So I don't even really do I know the crowd's there? Yeah, absolutely. But when you're in the cage, you're not concerned about the crowd.
So when you were at the Apex fight, and was that a different experience than fighting at Cage Titans, where everybody's when you hit them, the crowd's ah!
Yeah, I would definitely I definitely feel like I not deserve, right? Because I got to get there. But I want to have a sold out arena experience for the UFC. I definitely fighting throughout COVID, I definitely missed out on that. And I would love to walk out in front of a packed arena or a semi-packed arena, whatever.
Yeah, because what is it, like 1,000 people at Cage Titans? I can't remember.
I think it's like between 1,500 and 1,800.
Wow.
But, you know, if you're walking out in the T-Mobile Arena out in Las Vegas, like, that's got to be incredible.
50,000 or something, like 40,000, something like that.
It's a lot bigger than Memorial Hall, and I would imagine it gets pretty loud in there. So my goal right now is to, you know, get out there and perform like I did last week, 2 weeks ago, a few more times, and get on everybody's radar again. You know, there's some opportunities coming up. PFL's kind of doing their own type of contender series. Oh, so you submit all your information, and they look at the talent pool, and they decide who they want to come fight to see if they get like a wild card spot into their season. So normally they will contract maybe like 8 or 12 fighters. They'll fight, you know, a few times over the course of a season. It's all point based, and you know, whoever has the most points by the end of the season gets into the tournament or into the finals, and then you can still have like lost a fight and still wind up being the champion at the end of the season.
Based on like, how do they point it? Is it like strikes?
I think they point decisions differently than knockouts, differently than submissions. Like you might, and then again, if you lose to a decision, it's you don't get as many points as you would. You get more points to lose by a decision than you would to, let's say like be
get
finished.
Knocked out, yeah.
So like if you get finished, you might get 3 points for your performance. But if it's a decision, you might get 5 points, and if you win a decision, it's probably 7, and if you knock someone out, maybe it's 9. It's a very different point system that I'm not super familiar with. I've looked at it a few times, but I've never been like intent on figuring it out. But I'm pretty sure when Doomsday fought, I was kind of like following it a little bit because he ended up losing a couple fights in the season, but still having enough points to get into like to the finals.
Yep.
So like that was kind of what piqued my interest into that. But that being said, you get a wild card spot to get into a tournament to win $1 million. You know what I mean? So if the champion of every weight division gets $1 million check.
Hell yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely something to go for. You fight at 145, right?
Both 145 and 155.
Oh, really? I didn't know you fought at lightweight.
My last 2 fights with Cage Titans were back at 155.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Easier to not cut weight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But at the UFC level, you want to be at 145?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. If I keep winning fights at 155 and I'm feeling good and the weight cut's not killing me, you know, maybe we figure that out. That's always a possibility. But that'll be like a team decision when it comes down to it.
Once you get back in, and
yeah, we'll see. Maybe I win another fight or two, and they need someone last minute at lightweight, and I get a contract at lightweight. You know, I'm sure I could say I want to fight at featherweight again, and they might give me that contract, like give me the ability to fight at featherweight, and maybe I should be fighting at 155, so I'm not taking so much out of myself the week of the fight. You know, but again, it just comes down to like discipline and diet, and like the 6 weeks before the fight, not the week of the fight.
Yeah.
So
what do you usually walk at? You look like you're like 165, 170.
I'm probably, yesterday I was 175 when I woke up. So I would say I'm mid to high 70s right now. By the end of the day, I'm probably like $180.
Wow.
You know, maybe not. Who knows?
That's crazy to cut 30 pounds. Like,
I'm not really cutting 30 pounds off. You know, when I'm in fight camp, my weight's probably closer to 165, 170.
Oh, okay.
And then, you know, it's an arduous process. You know, you fight camps 6 to 8 weeks. You're dieting hard for 6 to 8 weeks to lose as much weight as possible.
And training hard.
And training hard and trying to get as much sleep as you can and naps and all that. But you usually want to only cut like 10 to 15 pounds fight week.
Makes sense.
You know, the upper limit with being within healthy parameters is about 10% of your body weight if you're lean. Being lean is a big component of that. You can't be 15 to 20% body fat and think I'm going to cut 10% of my body weight.
Right.
Because, how do I want to say this? Your muscles are, 80% water? Fat is not. So if you have a thick coat of fat over your muscles, your body has to work all that sweat through all that fat before it even gets to the top of your skin, right? So if the more lean you are, the easier it is to cut weight and faster to sweat because there's less tissue in between your muscles and your skin.
Interesting. It makes a lot of sense.
When you get into the science of it and all that, it's pretty interesting. But I've been doing this shit for 10 years, man. I've had plenty of time to learn all of this.
Yeah, that's one of the craziest things for me is definitely like watching the weight cuts. And like last time when I was just watching the Gage and Chandler weigh-ins, Chandler looked just like all sunk in and just, he looked so like depleted.
Yes, so you're not a vegetarian anymore,
No.
but I tell people like when you cut weight, you look like a vegetarian. Like, you're just emaciated, or like a crackhead. Like you don't look good, you don't feel good.
Yeah.
You have like a couple hours where, depending on how your weight cut went, there's absolutely nothing going in. Like this last weight cut, I jumped back in the tub the morning of the weigh-ins because I had 1.5 pounds to go, and I ended up getting down to like 154.5, and I can weigh in is up to 156. So I had 1.5 pounds of safe space to play with on my way down to the weigh-ins. So I just, filled up a solo cup full of frozen watermelon and snacked on that the whole way down.
Just to have something.
Just to have something cold. 1, it's frozen, so it's cold. 2, it's watermelon, so it's loaded with juice. And 3, if I weigh that cup and that cup's only 10 ounces, there's no way I'm coming anywhere near the 1.5 pounds that I have, so I can not intentionally cut more weight, but like be educated about how I get myself down to weigh-ins. Because like I've been doing this for so long, like against every professional's recommendations, I cut weight alone. I drive to weigh-ins.
Oh, wow.
And but
that doesn't seem too.
If I didn't know what I was doing, I'd be concerned. Like when I first started fighting and my brother was still fighting, we would always fight on the same cards. And if one of us wasn't fighting on that card, the other one was there to drive and to cut weight and to be in the bathroom with the other one. But again, that was like trial and error. Now I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly how to cut the weight. I know exactly how to do everything. And I'm pretty self-sufficient, like my girlfriend will stick her head in and check on me. Hey, you still alive? Yeah, I'm alive. All right, just making sure.
That's got to play into the mental aspect of it, like the mental toughness of like when you're in a fight and like you get hit and you're like, oh fuck, and you got to recover and try to come back. It's got to be like the weight cut helps with that mentally, because when you're cutting weight, I'm sure there's points where you're just like, oh man, fuck this, like this.
So, trial and error. I've had those experiences. Like when I first started playing with cutting my weight in a bath, in a tub, in an Epsom salt and soap, I definitely did it the wrong way. When I was younger, I was still living at home at my dad's house, and he had a really nice water heater. And I thought, man, I'm gonna boil my shit. I didn't literally boil water, but like the water was so hot that I was able to get in the water, but I couldn't move without feeling like my skin was burning, right? So that if you know what it's like to get into a really, really hot tub or a hot bath, like, you know exactly what I mean. But most of the time, you want the water hot enough so you step in and you're like, all right, I kind of want to step out, but I know I can stay in here, and it'll take me about 30 seconds to get used to it, and that's as hot as it needs to be.
Right.
But I was like, when I started, my tub was probably like 125, 130 degrees. Who knows how hot this fucking water was coming out. Like, we had a big water heater. The second one was of 11, and we all, depending on the night of the week, all 11 kids were at my dad's house. So like, we all had to shower. We all had to be able to get hot water. We had a fucking huge boiler that got really fucking hot, to the point where like the first time I was able to do it, the second time I tried it, the water was so hot that like, I was pretty much like sprawled out on my kitchen floor in my underwear, like laying on the tile to cool down because I was so hot and felt like I was overheating. And there was nothing else except the only thing I could think of was cold tile, hot body, as much surface space as possible. Like I would get as big as I could and lay on it and try to cool down, put my head in the freezer, thinking, because I read an article on bodybuilding.com about how bodybuilders would do hot baths.
To cut the fat
before they would do shows. So like I went from bro science to applicable science in like there was definitely some trial and error. Now I know, like, you just need the water hot enough to sweat. As long as you get a bead of sweat on your forehead, underwater, 100% humidity, you're fucking pouring sweat.
Yeah.
And then the Epsom salt helps, right? Because if you remember back to, would it be biology, maybe chemistry? Probably biology, like the how cells react. So like if you take a bunch of Epsom salt and you put it in the water and then you jump in that Epsom salt, your body's going to try to, because your skin's a big organism, right? It's the biggest organ on your body. It's going to try to balance that with the water that's in your system as much as it can to create homeostasis, right? So where they're both balanced. I could be using that word wrong, but it sounded pretty clever. So you put like 8 to 16 pounds of Epsom salt in a hot bath, and you jump in there, and the high amounts of salt and the hot water would force your body to sweat like a motherfucker, and you just kind of like get through it. Now, that being said, what got me on that tangent was like the self-doubt when you're in there, you're like, what the fuck? Like, you're like, I can't breathe, my heart's racing, I want to get out of here, this is bullshit. Like, a lot of people say that, the weight cuts the fight, the weight cuts the battle. You make weight and it's all easy from there. Like, but you don't have to be that way. You know what I mean? So like, after working with perfecting athletes, which they were huge in MMA and the UFC before the UFC moved a lot of that stuff in-house with nutrition, supplementation, diet. They if you're in fight camp and you fight for the UFC, they send you food to their house. They send you all of your supplements to make sure you're not going to pop for anything stupid. They have nutritionists, dietitians on staff, so they'll field any questions you have. Like, they have a huge support system in-house. Before that was there, Perfecting Athletes is who a lot of people use, and they would pretty much live with you fight week, cook all of your meals for you, do your morning routine, your nighttime routine, and it was expensive, but I didn't have it to that level because I was still fighting for Cage Titans. When I used them, it was all like, okay, here's your meal plan, here's this, daily check-ins, how's your weight, how are you feeling after eating these foods? If you try this combination, are you sleeping better at night? When you wake up trying this, like, they're very intelligent, they're very intuitive, they're very smart, they're very educated.
Using data, that sounds like real data.
Yes, and Michelle has a doctorate of Chinese medicine, and they base like their whole approach is through hormones and for maximum hormone production, because that's like the foundation of everything. So, you're eating balanced meals, you're eating everything. So how did I get over to them? All right, cortisol. They're big on cortisol. So if your cortisol goes too high, you stop sweating. If you have an anxiety attack, you'll stop sweating. If you get panicked, you'll stop sweating. So what's the best way to hack cortisol is to laugh. So as long as you're laughing, your body's going to be producing oxytocin, your cortisol's going to drop. So I watch stand-up comedy while I'm cutting weight. I watch something stupid, something funny. If I'm cutting weight and I'm getting in the tub with a deadline, I'm trying to find the funniest shit I can find on Netflix or whatever, and that's all I'm doing is focusing on laughing and just sweating, because if I'm laughing, I'm not worried about the time going by, I'm not worried about sweating, I'm not worried about anything, because I'm involved in the TV, and it's like hacking my fucking nervous system to be in a relaxed state.
And it goes to show you how, like, it's the phone, and any screen is just like your brain is like,
yeah. So I mean, I've made the mistake where I was watching like Black Mirror while I was cutting weight, and I'm like, fuck, like this is too much, like. I just watched this guy's eyes get cut out and like you're like whatever.
Like it seems too real.
Just Black Mirror, all of it. It doesn't matter what episode. It's all very real. It's all future. Like it's creepy, but
some of it's happening now.
It is, but like, don't get me started. But that's gonna heighten the cortisol. That's gonna get me more anxious. That's gonna get me scared. That's gonna, that's gonna shut down the sweating.
Hacking your mind.
So. You want cortisol down, laughing up, stand-up comedy, whatever you can. Like I watched Bad Teachers during this week, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I always try to find something light and funny that I don't have to be too invested in, but it's gonna keep me laughing. Like Adam Sandler's great. Chris Farley's great, like all the early 90s, just like the comedians, comedy movies that were based around comedians. Fucking awesome, you know what I mean?
What's your favorite Adam Sandler movie, or like top 3?
I feel like Adam Sandler has like eras. There's like early Adam Sandler era, there's like the middle era, and then there's like the most recent era.
Yeah, great point.
Early stuff, definitely Happy Gilmore.
Same.
But like Billy Madison's awesome too. You know what I mean? And then you have like
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy was great, but Mr. Deeds was hilarious. And I would say Big Daddy and Mr. Deeds were more like second phase of Adam Sandler. And then now you have like Grown Ups. Those movies are fucking hilarious. And now that they're all old, fat old men, they're hilarious. So, I mean, dude, Adam Sandler's like timeless, dude. He's hilarious.
He really
But
is.
his stuff is great to watch while cutting weight. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I like, for like recent stand-up, I really like Joe Rogan. Dave Chappelle shit's hilarious.
Dave Chappelle is funny, but like sometimes, like his stuff, like there's laughs. No, there's like a lot of laughs, but it's like, it's not the way, like say, like I love his humor, but I'm not a huge fan of watching him while I cut weight because some of his stuff is too long. Where he's like building it, and then boom, there it is.
So you're not laughing for 15 minutes. It's like
yeah. Whereas like what's his name, the little short guy, Kevin Hart.
Oh.
Up until his most recent stand-up, great for cutting weight because it's just fucking hilarious. You don't have to pay attention to it. Like he's talking about like kicking his wife off a boat if the boat's sinking and there's a shark in the fucking ocean. He's like, it's you or me, bitch. Like, what do you mean? Of course I'm kicking you off. Like that stuff's funny, you know. And it's like before he got kind of like, I don't know, like
big.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like the powers that be got a hold of him, and now his message is a little different. I don't know. It is what it is.
Makes
but
sense.
his most recent stuff's not as funny as his earlier stuff.
Yeah, I saw him 2 years ago, somewhere around 2 years ago, because I worked security for one of his events.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it was like I got paid to like watch Kevin Hart, and I'm surprised I didn't get yelled at that night because there was so many times that I would just catch myself because I was like from here to that pole away from where he's on stage, and I'm just like I would just get captivated and like I'm laughing with everybody like, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be like paying attention to this.
My back's supposed to be to this guy. I'm supposed to be looking at you guys.
Shit. Oh. But it was cool. People were like smoking weed around me and shit, and like I caught them. I'm like, just anybody else, you gotta look at right there. Like those are the people you gotta worry about. Me, you're good.
Yeah, dude. I did security for the Electric Daisy Carnival a couple of years when it was out before it got huge, when it was out in Colorado, and it wasn't weed, but very similar situations.
Yeah.
They're like, what is this guy doing? I'm having a blast too, man.
Dude, I actually saw Gordon Hayward. I could have got a picture with him and stuff there, like, cause we were escorting somebody to the back. It wasn't Kevin, but somebody in his camp to the back. And then we were going on the elevator, and this big fucking 7-foot white dude. I look, I'm like, oh shit, that's Gordon. That's fucking Gordon Hayward. And everybody's like, can I get a picture? And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Like I don't like to be that guy unless I've had like a great conversation with you and I want to take a picture. I don't want to ever be like
the starstruck individual that blows them up while they're trying to get their shit done.
Which is gonna be like when I meet Gary Vee, I'm a little bit worried because I've never like wanted to meet somebody so bad in my life, except maybe like Eminem. You know, like there's very few people in my life that I would be starstruck by, and like I know I'm going to meet him by like May. Yeah. So it's like I'm like just like trying to get that all under check.
Be cool,
but not too cool. Cause
don't be starry-eyed.
Because like when I won my NFT from him, I was in a clubhouse room with him, and he said he only asked me one thing. He asked me like, when are you gonna get the tattoo? How's it coming along? And I was like, oh, I already talked to my artist, blah blah. And I was like, when he said Adam and started talking to me, I was like, just be cool. But it was like too cool because I didn't even say like, oh my God, dude, thank you so much. Like that was crazy. Like I was just such in the moment that I was just like, yeah, I'm already talking to my artist. I wanted to get a tattoo anyway, so this is like a double good thing. Yeah. And you're just like, all right.
2 birds with 1 stone. You know what I mean? I wanted a tattoo and now I got a reason.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely.
NFTs have been crazy. I think one of your shirt drops you should do as an NFT eventually.
Yeah, I've been kind of like reading about that stuff a little bit. I still don't really understand it, and you're kind of like, my expert in that opinion, you know what I mean, in that area. So like, yeah, however we could do that. That would be cool. I feel like all the NFTs that I'm seeing, they all look like they're made by the same guy. They all look they all have a very similar look. But I also get a lot of
ones do.
Yeah, but and then my experience with them are like the random millions of message requests I get over Instagram, like buy my NFT, this and that, and I'm like, yeah, if you're the ones that are reaching out to someone that's not even interested in them, these are probably garbage to begin with.
Well, either that or it's a scam.
That would, like the princes from Nigeria that need money and need your routing number to send you millions of dollars. Yeah, same.
No. Even like regular people. So what's happening is like this actually almost happened to me the other day. It's a little bit embarrassing because like I constantly am telling people about like security. Never give out your seed phrase. Never give anybody your passwords. Don't click any links unless you know they're official. And somebody sent me a message on Discord and said that they're Cool Cats, which is their floor is like 7 or 8 ETH, which is like through $30,000, like it's a crazy amount of money. And I just got excited and I clicked it and I joined the Discord. And the first thing it had me do was verify my wallet. And I was like, that's weird. I've never had something that needs me to verify my wallet immediately.
So it's just pulling your information.
So they would have been able to steal all my NFTs if I just clicked verify and connected my wallet. But like that voice something in my head was like, let me go check Cool Cat's website. Like, let's go check out their website. And I checked it out, clicked the link, went to their Discord link, and lo and behold, completely different Discord.
Yeah.
And then I went into the actual Cool Cat's Discord, and I see that they have like a section that says like scams. And I see that
now,
this is the thing.
Would there be any repercussions to the person that scammed you? How would you be able to go after that? You can't.
It's not regulated.
Right.
So I almost just lost 6 figures of NFTs basically.
Yeah.
it was.
I would imagine that to be very frustrating.
I would have cried, definitely. Like had a full breakdown, probably, because I worked so hard over the past like 6 months, and I mean, a lot of it's luck. Like I got given a V-Friend. I've gotten given 6 or 7 other NFTs. Because of getting the V-Friend, I got into an NFT called Grill Games, only because Gary has this program called the PLP, the pre-launch program, and he partners with different NFT projects, and they got to give a certain amount free to V-Friends holders, and he'll help promote the project. Usually it sells out, and I'm paying attention to all these projects, and I couldn't get into a couple, so I was like, I didn't get one for free, I'm gonna buy one. So it cost me 0.08 ETH, which was like $240 at the time to mint that. A drill game picture. 24 hours later, I sold it for 2.22 ETH, which was like $6,700 at the time. So from 240 to 6,700 in a day. That hasn't happened since. I haven't had a flip. I mean, that was only a month ago.
Right.
But I'm trying to make a flip happen this month. I got into like 3 projects in the past week.
Now, and you verify the ownership all through your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So
blockchain.
Anybody could have a picture of it, but nobody has the authority to say it's theirs unless it's attached to their wallet.
So Gary, I hate to keep bringing him up. I don't hate to keep bringing him up because he's definitely like my guru for the NFT space. He said that, I lost track of my thought. What was your question again?
Like the ownership of the NFT versus like someone screenshotting it and saying it's theirs.
He had the best example of this. If I go to your house and I take a picture of your house, do I now own your house?
Right.
Like if I take a picture of the Mona Lisa, do I own the Mona Lisa?
No.
It's just a picture of the picture. So that's what, anybody in the world can have it as their profile picture. That doesn't mean they own it. And if you look at what is their profile picture, you can see exactly who owns it and who's ever owned it. It has everything.
Once you get to the wallet behind it.
Exactly. Or even the NFT. If you click on like OpenSea or I forget Immutable, some of the other ones, it's you'll be able to get right on there and see who owns it. And you can then click that and you can see everything they own.
Okay.
And
you just went way over my head, but I'm following it. Right to the last minute, you're like, you go into this app and you look at this, and then I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, there's it's definitely a learned thing. They say to do 60 hours of research before you ever like purchase anything. The VFriends community is a great place to be because everybody's so willing to teach each other. Not only that, because of the community that Gary created, it's like there's artists in there that, like you say, everybody looks the same. There's so many unique artists in the VFriends community, and right now, because it's like the beginning, they said, I was listening to an interview last night and they said, nobody's here. Like, nobody's here. Nobody's in this NFT space. We're doing like 10,000 sales a day. Imagine when it's 500,000. It's not really that big of a jump.
Well, at what point does the market
become oversaturated?
Yeah, but what's creating the value behind the NFT?
A few things. So the utilities is the biggest thing. So the utilities behind it, like for instance, for mine, for my rare token holders, they get an hour of my time one-on-one a month to talk about, if you want to start a podcast, hemp stuff, cannabis stuff, growing your own, farming, anything that I'm good at. I'll talk to you for an hour every single month. And then they get 50% off CBD for life. They get access to my grow journal. So like my grow journals, like my Dear Diary, I put my feelings in there, I put my inputs, so like whatever I'm putting in, I put whatever I get out, so everything goes in there, how I did it, so they can essentially start their own farming or hemp business or cannabis business, whatever they want.
With your trial and error.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm nobody. So like Gary's was like, you get access to VCon, which is, it's in Minnesota in May. That's why I said I'll get to meet him by at least May. You get access to VCon, which means you get to meet Gary, you get to network with 10,000 other people that are like-minded. And other ones were like FaceTime, you get to FaceTime with them. Hangout Hawk, you can go like hang out with them go out for dinner or wherever. There was like a courtside cat, you get to go to a Knicks game with him courtside. So like there was a few utilities attached to that, and then
so every NFT has its own utilities.
Correct, and that's what the value is. So the art is a thing, but if you look at like, it's not that complex, right? It's a doodle, and like,
but what's attached to that gives you access to certain things.
Exactly.
And only the owner of that file has that access.
Exactly.
Now, what if you were using your utilities, right? Is that lifetime?
Yeah.
So if you transfer that NFT to someone else, you lose the access to the utilities. Now they have the utilities.
Correct.
But the NFT will never run out of the utilities. So what happens?
Depending on the utility.
What happens if, say, like the owner, creator of an NFT, let's say if the creator of an NFT passes away, does all of his stuff become moot?
No, probably goes up in value.
But then there's no utilities attached to it. You lose the
depending.
Well, you gave the examples of like, tangibles, like physical things.
Yep.
Information. So once those become a scarce like once those can't be replenished, what happens?
So
that's my question, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really depends. That's a great question too. So like for Gary, for instance, say
like worst case scenario, he's in his plane goes down tomorrow.
Yeah.
All of his NFTs go up. Short term, they must go down long term because there's no value anymore.
I would say
outside
yes.
of having one of his OG tokens. So then maybe
yes.
we'll drive the price up, but like then there's no utility to it. It's just like a rarity to have one.
But say he dies in 40 years, right? And he accomplishes his goal of owning the Jets and winning a Super Bowl with them, which, as a Patriots fan, that's kind of heartbreaking, but it's like I'm still rooting for him, especially now that I hold this.
Put enough money into anything and it's gonna work.
Exactly. So if he does that, he has hinted at giving like the OG VFriends holders, which I'm technically one of them, partial ownership of the Jets, essentially.
Somehow, one way or another.
So even if like he died in 40 years
and sold a team, someone that has the original token is going to get a percentage of something somehow or another.
Exactly.
That's okay.
So and as the project goes along, like Gary says, to not judge a project until it's been out for 3 years. There's only a few that have been out for 3 years, like CryptoPunks, and so it's just about building that, you know, like I've changed my utilities already. I've changed my plan. I'm releasing a third token called the Forbearing Farmer that was inspired by V-Friends because they have a thing called the Patient Panda. And I was in a room and I was like, farmers are the real patient pandas. Like we sit there, we plant a seed, and then we just like we have to be so patient and more than patient. That's why I chose forbearing. Forbearing is like a serious dedication and patience to something, and that's exactly what farming is. So I originally was gonna do 100 of them for 0.025 ETH, which right now is like $80, something like that. I wanted to make it a lower price point than my other tokens, but then Gary released this PLP program where you have to give stuff away, and I changed it to 1,111 because I'm going to give 555 because that's Gary's favorite number is 5. And to like V-Friends holders and stuff like that. So I changed it. It might still change more. I'm talking to somebody about doing a character-based approach where it's not just the forbearing farmers. There's like 10 different characters that we're building and releasing 10,000. So like I'm really, everything changes, and you with your roadmap and with your website and everything and your Discord especially,
Discord confuses the fuck out of me too.
It's so confusing, dude. Imagine building one. Like I just redid mine and made it look pretty yesterday.
I don't get it.
And I'm so happy I did.
I don't get it. They're just like community chat rooms.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with them though. Like the amount of updates and access you get. Like I know it's kind of
stupid. It just seems like overwhelming.
But I can I've talked to Jake Paul on certain ones. I've talked to Gary V, you know, like I've talked to Dane Cook. You know, like I've talked to like these people that are humongous and for no reason other than I've just been in the NFT space. Like I was listening to a Twitter space last night, which is kind of like Clubhouse, and Snoop Dogg popped into Gary V's. So like I'm like this close to Snoop, you know, like it's all just a connection thing. It's crazy.
I feel you.
And I think for you, you know, you've been fighting for 10 plus years, right? You have to have a dedicated fan base of people that like you. How many of them haven't met you and would like to? You know, like that's access you can give people. Give them a FaceTime one-on-one, or they can come to a training session and watch you train. Like there's so many different things you can do as a utility for your t-shirt. And then also like connect the t-shirt to it. Like that's a utility. You get the t-shirt. Obviously that's a one-time utility. That's not gonna, if somebody buys it, they're not gonna give me the t-shirt too. Right. But you can do things like that. Like I'm working on making my next album an NFT project. So
now, didn't someone just do that?
Maybe.
It was like a hip hop artist. He sold like 1 million copies of an NFT album in like 24 hours, and he set a record. But who was it? I don't know. I remember I saw it maybe like a week or two ago. But that's cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing 1,000 NFTs and like different. I'm thinking about doing like 4 different levels. Where like the first one.
Not to interrupt.
No, that's cool.
Once you like create an NFT, is there any upkeep to it outside of fulfilling your responsibilities to the owner?
And keeping in touch with your community and connecting with your community, which is something I definitely struggle with. Like I have so much going on. I'm trying to run all my social. I'm trying to do these podcasts. I have a full-time job now, and I'm running a CBD business and then a environmental research business like separate from that with hemp. So like there's just, and a dad and a fiance, like just trying to do all these things. It's so fucking much. Somehow I'm managing to do it.
Well, that's good. I mean, you're still on top.
Yeah. I just got over COVID, you know, like, and during COVID, I really did nothing, which is unlike me completely. Like, I've been just go for 4 years straight, besides the last time I had it like 2 years ago. And I just kept every day like obsessing, like, am I doing enough? Like, I want to be great, right? Mm-hmm. Am I doing enough to be great?
Right.
And it's like, I'm not doing this enough, I'm not doing this enough, I'm not doing this enough, and it's like, we got to get back on track. Like, I go into my room every night and I see my award from 2019 for Young Entrepreneur of the Year that I got from like the cannabis community all around New England. Like, out of all the entrepreneurs in New England, like all these companies that are way bigger than mine,
right,
I got it. Just because of like my principles and how I build and what I believed in and my passion for it, like that happened. It's like, why did it happen? Oh, I was super laser focused. I made sure I posted on my socials every day. I made sure that I answered every single comment on every single post from real things and sometimes bots when I feel bored. And I kept up with my story, and I had content planned out in the future, so I'm not so stressed out about what am I going to do here. Right. So it's like, I just got to get back to that, and I don't want to do the cliche thing of waiting till 2022. So I was just like, fuck it, we're getting back on track. Like, we don't need to wait a month and a half. We're like, let's go right now.
For sure.
Like, why waste 45 days when we could fucking do the damn thing?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I think that whole New Year, New Me thing is a whole crock of shit.
Yeah.
But you try to do
I mean, I set my yearly goals for sure. I don't really call them resolutions. Like, I set yearly goals, and usually I set them so astronomical that I've only hit a few of them ever. Mm-hmm. Like, I aim for like, I think $250,000 in sales last year, and then everything just tanked down, and like it was complicated,
right.
But that, stuff like that doesn't happen. A certain amount of views on podcasts. If you're not consistent on your podcast,
people aren't gonna listen.
People do not listen.
Right.
It's just that simple. And like, I've been going consistently. This is week 13. I did skip last week because of COVID, and I think my guest had COVID too. He said he wasn't feeling good. He thinks it's COVID, and then I haven't really heard much from him since. Right. So yeah, the consistency with podcasting is so huge, man. That's another thing you'd probably be good at too. Like, I've seen you on a lot of shows and interviews, and
it's in the back of my head. I just don't have the time to commit to like growing something sustainable. Like,
getting
like
equipment.
It'd be like, one or two. That was cool, and then like maybe I get bored with it because I got other things going on that I need to get done. But it's definitely in my wheelhouse, I think.
It'd be cool to do like a fight companion type of thing with you, like where we're smoking, drinking, whatever. Like, I don't think you really drink. Here and like sometimes. I think we're the same with that. Like, I'll drink like once every 3 months. It's like I don't.
Not as regular with it.
Yeah.
Ever.
But like, do that, and then maybe another person that's like a fighter. So it's like, because I'm just a fan. I've never trained. You guys have different perspectives. Mm-hmm. That would be cool too. Like, because it's not something that you have to commit to all the time. You do the big UFC events,
right?
And it makes it cool. And then maybe eventually you could even like the Cage Titan ones that you're not fighting at, which it seems like you're fighting at every single one of them. That's up.
Usually.
You could do it on that too, but yeah, at least on the UFC nights that don't coincide with Cage Titans.
Right. That's to play with though.
Dude, so you said earlier that you're 1 of 11?
Yeah.
I did not fucking know that.
Second oldest.
That's crazy.
So my mom and dad had 3 kids. My dad and mom, then they got divorced. And when my dad remarried, he had 7 kids with my stepmom, and she had a daughter before they got together. Yeah, big house.
Wow.
Big pretty crazy.
Damn. Yeah. It's so crazy.
7 boys and 4 girls.
Woo!
Yeah.
Holy crap. So that's why you're such a good fighter then. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of brothers, and you guys are just beating the shit out of each other.
All the time.
All the time, dude. That makes so much damn sense. That's crazy, man. I couldn't imagine. I'm 1 of 5, but like we've been so like scrambled. Like, me and my sister were like really the only 2 that stayed together my whole life. And it's 11.
Yeah.
11.
We all stay in touch.
Yeah?
That's
We're
doing family photos next Saturday. This Saturday. 20, whatever. That's this Saturday.
That's really cool, man. Like my family
mom will be there, my stepmom will be there, everybody.
My family struggles so much with that for some reason, just staying connected. Like, I don't understand.
It all changes when someone passes away.
For a little bit, you know. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what, you know, everybody, at least in my family, it's like, okay, we got to make sure to, like, keep these relationships open while everybody's around, because we've witnessed how easy it is for fucking people to not be around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I wish my family was more like that, man. Like, for some reason, my family, like, when my Nana passed away 10 years ago, it was like the day of her funeral and stuff, we're all a family, we're united,
Right.
we need to do this more, this is what she wanted. And then it was just back to the same bullshit.
Back to this, yeah, same
And like,
bullshit.
you know, like my dad, like I haven't talked to my dad in 3.5 years.
See, that's crazy.
It's nuts. Like, he was like one of my best friends, you know, like he was my hero growing up, and now we just don't talk because like he doesn't stop running his mouth about me and my sister. And it's like, it's not something I put up with. Like, when you talk really
at some
about
point
my
you
sister,
gotta like,
exactly, yeah. When you feel like it's
Unhealthy
one-sided,
people, yeah.
like I felt like I was giving, begging for like, hang out, let's have a cup of coffee. I would just show up at his house, like begging, and he would never call me. He'd never come to my house. He'd never come hang out with my children. Like, it's like, why are you not trying to be a good grandfather, like, to your kids? Like, he hates my mom so much still, even though they've been broken up for 25, 26 years. Like, get over it.
Right.
My mom's completely over it, and that's why we have a relationship now. Like, it's weird how it flopped. Like, up until 2015, really, I didn't have a relationship with my mom. Like, it was just very rocky because of shit that happened with my childhood, and then like I was really close to my dad, and then when I accepted my mom back into my life, and you know, to be a grandmother, and he didn't like that,
right?
You know, like, and
he felt like you were maybe choosing sides or something.
Exactly, and I would make it known, like, I'm not choosing sides, but it's my mother. Right. You know, like, at the end of the day, she's fucked up a lot. That's part of parenting, I'm realizing now, is you just fuck up a lot. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just pretending you do, and your kids look up to you like you do.
Right.
So it's like, as I'm an adult and a parent now, I really, like, have forgiven my mom of, like, everything. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. Let's work on now and the future, and that's it. And my dad is so wrapped up in the past that I'm just like, you know what? Like, the last
when you're ready
time,
to show up, you call me. But until then, you stay over there, motherfucker.
it was like, I know you believe in like universal things. Like, the universe told me to see my dad, right? Like, it was 6 months into us not talking, really, maybe 8. And I was visiting a farm that was in the same town as where he works as a head grower for a nursery. And I went to this farm, and I seen a guy chainsawing, and I waited for him to stop chainsawing. I'm like, hey, excuse me. He's like, what? I'm like, is this so-and-so farm? And he's like, nope. I was like, I'm looking, there's like 20 greenhouses, acreage, and I'm like, he's like cutting up logs, and there's a store. I'm like, are you sure? And I like read the address. I looked at my phone, like, it's like, nope. So I pulled out, and I'm like at a stop sign, and my old business partner's sitting there in the passenger seat, and I'm just sitting there with my hands on the steering wheel, like, that didn't go how I expected it. Like, I thought we were about to get some land. Like, because the farmer had told us at a meeting to come down there, but it wasn't the farmer that was chainsawing. So I'm like, just sitting there. I'm like, all right, let's just go. And I look right to like check traffic, and I look left to check traffic, and I see the sign of my dad's work. And I was like, I should go there, because when I was at this meeting with this lady, the farmer, she had said, "You heard Glenn Sousa's son? No fucking way! Like, I've known him since he was your age, because he's worked there since I was 2 years old. I'm 30, almost 32, you know. So, and she would just talk up a storm with us." And I was like, I knew if I went there, I'd be able to tell if that was actually the farm or not. So at first I didn't, right? Like, I just ignored my conscience being like, just go.
Right.
Drove past it, and like literally 5 seconds later, who drives past me? my fucking dad.
Oh, for sure.
For no reason. Like, there's no reason for him. It was like 1:45 in the afternoon. I guess he had hurt his back and he was going to the doctor to file, so that way he could like get the physical to file for a workman's comp thing. Mm-hmm. He just so happened to be driving back. So when I saw that, I literally was like, just flew back around and I went there.
Right.
And we talked for a little bit, not as much as we wanted to because like, he was doing his workman comp thing, you know.
Right.
But we talked on the phone for like 2.5 hours that night, and I thought everything was cool. And then I hear from one of my cousins that he was over their house saying, "I can't believe Adam called me, just using me for information, blah, blah, blah." I was like, what, dude? That's how you viewed that?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, I used it as kind of an excuse to see you, motherfucker, because I haven't seen you in 6 months. Like, what is this? You know? So that after that, I was just like, I'm done. It's like, when you want to make an effort, it's funny because, like, I talked about my Nana. My uncles and my grandparents didn't talk for a long time because of a stupid little fight that happened. And my Nana always hated it. Mm-hmm. And my dad was always the one that was like the bridge. Like, he would go to both sides and he just didn't have a problem with anybody.
Right.
And they would both talk shit about each other. And he always said, oh my God, if my kid ever didn't talk to me for an extended period of time, I'd show up at your door and just, we have to talk.
Right,
like,
that was back then.
I'm like 3.5 years later, man.
Yeah,
like, I got to knock on my door once. And it's like, it sucks because at this point, it's like I have my daughter, right? He's never met my daughter.
Oh, that's crazy.
She's 3 in January.
Yeah.
So it's like, how awkward is that if he ever decides to come back in my life? And that's probably why he doesn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to get past that initial.
Which, by the way, I sent him a picture and was like, hey, we're at this hospital right now. Like, we just had the baby. Nia Hazel, like his mom's name is Hazel, you know? Like,
that's cool.
Like, come visit your granddaughter. Never came. And I was just like, wow, this is something else, you know? My mom was there.
Yeah.
You know, my sister was there, my rest of my family. It's like, where were you?
He wasn't ready to show up, man.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm just learning to not take it as personally, because he has so many demons that I know has never faced. But like, when you do psychedelics, microdosing and everything, you know this, you are forced to do inner work. Like, there's no avoiding it. You will literally meet your demons face to face in front of you, and hey, motherfucker, you're not hiding from me anymore. Right. You got to deal with this. That's how psychedelics are.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why I like them so much. I know you have experience with you know, where you microdose mushrooms, right?
Usually.
Yeah. How do you do it? Do you like just eat them straight, or do you?
No, I mean, if I'm like planning in advance, I'd probably ground them up, put them in a capsule, or ground them up, weigh them out, and mix it with like some lemon juice, some fresh lemon juice.
Oh, does that make it like activate more?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll have to try that next time I make a capsule. Just put like a couple drops of lemon juice.
No, you would only want to do it like right before you, like, so it's called lemon tech, and so you want to let the mushrooms soak in the lemon juice for about 15 minutes and then drink the whole concoction.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's like a shot, basically. Mm-hmm. That sounds like a fucking good.
And it makes it taste a lot better.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll weigh one out, eat it, chew it up, grind it up, you know, masticate it pretty much to a paste, and then I'll let it sit like in between my gum and my cheek, and I'll just let it sit there and
take off.
Yeah, I mean, take off sometimes, but it's fine. I just feel like it helps break it down before it gets to your stomach, and then it might be a little bit more available.
Well, it's two things. So yes, because your saliva is your first step to digestion, mm-hmm. and yes, because what's happening is it's hitting sublingually, and sublingually hits within 15 minutes, as opposed to eating it hits within an hour to an hour and a half.
Well, the thing with mushrooms is you need the gastric juices of your stomach to convert the psilocybin to psilocin. So when I keep it in my mouth, like I normally drink lemon water regularly. So I'm like, in my weird head, I'm like, drink the lemon water, swish it around a little bit, swallow the lemon water, put the mushroom back in there. So like it's like slowly converting it with the lemon juice before I swallow it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's methods to my madness.
I got to get back on my routine, man. That was another thing I was thinking during like this downtime. It's like, why do I feel so mentally sometimes? Like, oh, I'm not microdosing. I haven't microdosed for months now. Like,
but it's good to like take breaks.
Yeah, I like to feel,
so
like
everything reset.
Yeah, I need to fully trip again because I've only done it once. And it was intense, and I only ate 2 grams.
Oh, wow.
And I full send. Like, they were like, these are some of the strongest mushrooms I've ever had. Like, I've had mushrooms 10 to 15 times. These are strong. And I was like, okay, so I won't take a whole 3-5. My fiance took 1, and she was full send for a bit.
Oh, right.
Like, crazy. But I still want to do, like, a 3.5 dose.
Yeah, and even a 3.5 isn't, like, ridiculous.
Yeah, hero dose is what, 7?
5.
That's crazy.
But there are people I follow that do like 28, 30 gram doses.
How the fuck do you do a 30 gram dose?
I didn't say I do it. I just said there are people that I follow, but I have information about doing 30 gram doses, living through it, and it's an intense 3-hour journey.
The way I like to do it, I have stomach issues because I used to take a lot of like Excedrin and shit back in the day. Fucked up my stomach. I use a coffee grinder, and I grind it up to basically a dust, and then I stuff it. I like measure it out to be perfectly. It's like 0.4 has been my dose lately for microdose, and then just stuff it in a capsule.
And then take it.
Yep. It's like, and I like to do it, like at once, and do like a whole 4 grams at once, and just so I don't have to keep doing it, and then it's convenient. I can get on my schedule. I don't like to do it every day, unless like I need to hyper focus on something, and I'll take it for every single day to hyper focus on whatever I'm like trying to do, because it definitely helps with that a ton. But yeah, I think especially for fighters, psychedelics and mushrooms especially are going to be super important.
I mean, it's really good for your brain health as well. So when I take my mushrooms, I'll usually stack it with lion's mane, acetylcholine, alpha GPC, some niacin, and some alpha bricks. That's just got more of that good stuff in there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But that's kind of like the Stamets protocol. Like that's the stack that he advocates for.
I have this, what's the name of the company? I can't remember, but they have like a blend of like 8 different mushrooms like that, and like a little scoop. And I was just thinking in my head, like, that'd be so easy to just, like, a scoop, drink that take the pill, take the capsule, and then you get the full effect. Because that is right, like, the more, like, compounds you put to kind of, like, bring it to your brain.
Yeah, so the acetylcholine and alpha GPC are precursors for the neurotransmitters that your brain uses.
So it helps, like, repair faster?
It just helps send the mess, like, it's ideally, so you're giving, like, the parts of your brain that send messages food. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then the niacin like flushes it. What else was there? I don't know. I've listened to Stamets talk about it, and he goes off on it, and like he's a lot more educated than I am. But the takeaway is you want to have those all mixed together. It helps. So what you're doing is you're fostering an environment or you're creating an environment to foster neurogenesis for your brain to heal itself.
Yep. It makes a lot of sense. When do you think it's gonna start getting legalized? Because it seems like
it's happening. It's happening
quicker than weed. It feels like.
It is definitely for sure. Individual cities have legalized and decriminalized entheogens. Even in Massachusetts, like Somerville, all entheogens are legal.
Yeah.
And Cambridge, where a lot of the universities are, all entheogens.
Oregon, the whole state.
Yeah, California, Oakland. So there's like a lot of places, DC even.
Wow.
A lot of places popping up that are legalizing all of it or decriminalizing it. So there's no real repercussion of being caught with it.
And I don't think it's a coincidence where they did decrim it, because like Cambridge, what's in Cambridge?
All the universities.
Exactly.
Right.
So for research purposes, now they can research it there and not get in trouble for having it.
And also because of the work that MAPS has been doing, the FDA is putting money behind research for psychedelics again.
What the fuck?
So even if it wasn't decriminalized, it wouldn't matter because it's being funded by the U.S. government.
That is insanity.
You know what I mean?
I really feel like they just hate cannabis. Like they just refuse to like be like, okay, you know what? We were wrong about this.
They really, yeah, they will never admit when they're wrong. And they went so hard against it that it's really hard to undo that.
Yeah.
Or to just pretend like they never did it, which they do all the time. But
which is crazy because all these politicians are probably invested into cannabis
at this
businesses
point,
and shit. You know,
at this point, I'm sure they are.
it's insanity how much that flips around when the same people that own the prisons that are locking people up for cannabis now own a dispensary. Like, how does that happen? It's like
yeah.
corporate greed everywhere.
That's it. Corporate greed is the right way. It's the right word.
And there's like bribery that goes on with the towns and everything too. Like,
oh, there's money. That's at every level. You'll find that, you know, city planners, people that zone areas. Like, hey, I need to put this here. Here's a nice donation to your next, you know, campaign.
Yep.
Zone that building over there for me. You know, shit like that happens all the time.
Yeah, they don't really want to talk unless it's money in front of them for not only them but for their town or city, so they can look like a hero.
Oh, for sure.
It's like I have an extremely viable solution to fixing some of the problems at the landfills, and I have a town/city that's really interested in doing it, but they don't want to pay for it at all.
Well, of course they don't.
And I'm like, so you're just going to continue to let this leach into our groundwater and get into our bloodstreams and everything instead of trying an inexpensive solution that only costs $100,000 a year.
Right.
Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Right.
So now it's like, they're like, well, get a grant. We'll think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how much of the grant do you want? You know, it's like all these different negotiations have to happen that are so shady.
It's shady, dude. It's all corporate greed, but it's the world we live in.
It's the same thing with like the media, you know?
Absolutely.
The media is just always twisting things around. Like, I seen a SNL skit that they were like, they had a fake Joe Rogan, they had Pete Davidson playing Joe Rogan. Awful. And he was like, Big Bird was sick, and he was like, oh, here's some ivermectin. And Big Bird's like, well, why would I take that? That's for horses. And like they were doing like a Sesame Street skit, but it was like Ted Cruz Street, and it was just all a bunch of like, they're going after every Republican thing. Very weird.
I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in a really long time.
I only saw that clip because so many people were talking about it, and I was just like, yeah, like I'm gonna watch it. And I watched it, and I literally was like,
that was painful. I can imagine. Yeah.
Like that's stupid.
Yeah. I don't find, you know, I've seen some of the stuff, and I just don't think it's that funny anymore.
No, and it's crazy that like CNN can lie about Joe Rogan and shit. Like,
oh, bro, they get away with whatever they want.
Yeah.
But, like, people are picking up on it. You know, their views are like record lows.
Yep.
You know, so the approval ratings in the gutter for everybody right now.
Numbers definitely don't lie.
Everything that's woke goes to shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Dude, I'm so used to being able to see a timer. Oh, it's only been an hour? Wow.
Yeah. No, only now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my podcasts go an hour, 2, 3.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I've done like 4.5 of it, the longest I've done. It's
That's
crazy.
intense.
Yeah, well, sometimes we get into these tangents and it just like, especially when it's like online, I feel like I'm looking directly at like the screen, but like the timer's right there, and I'm just not looking at it.
Yeah.
So it's like by the time it's an hour and a half, 2 hours in, I'm like, oh shit, dude! Like it's been 2 hours. Can you believe that? And they're like, what?
Yeah. I believe it, dude.
It's crazy, man. So what's the plan from here? Like, so let's just say, let's play out a perfect scenario, right? Let's say you fight early, probably January, February. I'm sure Cage Titans is going to have an event. You fight there, you get another knockout win. And then the UFC says, get closer, you know, and then you get one more win in, like, say, April, May. Then what? We're going back to the UFC. Like, what if you win this PFL thing? Are you gonna go to PFL?
Yeah. So honestly, like, I'm just trying to get into a promotion where I can make some decent money.
Yeah.
While fighting.
Yeah.
You know, ideal, like the UFC would be ideal, but like I said, if this works out with the PFL and submit the application and they're like, yeah, we like this kid, we're gonna have him come on fight. You know, that could be in December. That could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have no idea what that timeline looks like, but my goal is just to stay ready, to stay light, and be able to say yes to any opportunities that might present themselves. So I think I'm, you know, 1 or 2 more wins away from really catching anybody's eye, but I think with the way that I performed while I fought in the UFC, that there might be some eyes on me waiting to see if I turn it around.
Right.
So I should go out there and knock my fingers out.
And it's crazy too, because I really think it should be like 1 win, because like that fight with Zabian, I literally left after that, after they said he won. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, you know, and that was just like, you know, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Made the changes, came out and finished the next fight in the first round.
But it was such an impressive fight. Like, to be able, like, I've never really seen your wrestling in a fight so much like that. And I guess more like jiu-jitsu, because you're not, right? You're like more jiu-jitsu than wrestling.
I mean, I've wrestled longer than I've done jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I didn't know you like specialized in that too.
Yeah, well, I coached at BC High, and I wrestled there for 4 years. So I've been wrestling.
Duh, you coach at BC High. Like, my stupid brain was like, oh, you're coaching MMA there. No, duh, you're coaching wrestling. That makes a ton of sense. But I was impressed with your wrestling, especially where that was his core specialty.
Yeah.
And not only did you defend 95% of the takedowns, I think he only got like 1, and he didn't get a lot of control time on it.
No,
And not only that, but you fucking scoop slammed him, you know?
Yeah, bro, there were some good takeaways from that. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it's like the impressive loss and then the impressive win, another really impressive win that's got to get their eye, man. I'm like,
No, because Zabian was the loss.
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
They don't care.
They don't give a fuck.
That's fucking crazy.
What's on paper? You know? Yeah.
Tough
Obviously,
industry.
they watched me fight. They watched me fight my first 2 fights in the UFC, and they didn't care that I lost or that they were good fights.
Yeah.
You know, that I see guys going, you know, we got guys that we just signed get 3 opportunities. Seeing guys get countless opportunities. You know, I just, whatever reason, I wasn't one of those guys. You know,
Yeah.
so I can't say that losing to Zabian in a dominating fashion like that is going to have any sort of stock.
Need the wins.
In anyone's wheelhouse, really. So yeah, I just need the wins.
Yeah. So 2. That's what I think will get you there. Like,
Yeah, and then if like I said, if the shit with PFL,
when's that?
I have no idea.
No.
But if that picks up and that takes off, then I'm in that league. You know, I'll go fight for PFL for a year or 2.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
Hell
But
yeah.
there's no reason to just like I want to be in the UFC or something better. And just something better could be a better situation, a better opportunity, a chance to go do something somewhere crazy that I've never been before, you know. But I'm definitely trying to get back to the next level.
Yeah, I know you'll get there. I have faith in it for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I see how dedicated you are to how hard you train, and it's inspiring, honestly. Like, as soon as the second I tell my fiance this, I was like, the second I have enough money, I'm coming to train with Pete. Like, it's gonna suck at first. I know it's gonna, because I'm gonna get my ass kicked, and I haven't been hit in the face in a long time. But
Yeah, you get over it.
exactly. I'll just get over it. And I'm like, I'm nursing a little neck injury, like my stupid scoliosis. I'm trying to go to the chiropractor, get that all in line. And yeah, dude, as soon as I have the money, I'm coming to train, because it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be good for the mental.
Oh, dude, it definitely is. Absolutely. Push and flow state, get you out of your mind.
Yeah.
Get moving.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, I just realized I had socks on across my leg.
There you go. There it is.
But hell yeah, man. Whatever you do in the future, I definitely believe in it, man. I think that you're definitely destined for really big things.
I hope so.
Your attitude is right. Your dedication to your training is on point. Like, you've been training since what, 2 days after the fight? essentially, 3 days.
Yeah, I fought Saturday, and then I teach classes Monday through Thursday, 7 to 8 a.m., and I didn't take any time off. I should have, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't putting other people's schedules on pause because my schedule was on pause. So I got up, made sure to be there to teach, and then I found myself coming back over here. I think I was back on the mat here on Wednesday after my fight, and Friday, and then this week I've been here 3 days. I'll be here 3 days this week, so.
Fuck yeah. And you're going to sit your time?
Yeah, I'll be able to see your time tonight.
Sit your time. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I'm excited to see what the future holds, and for everybody watching and listening on the podcast, let them know where they can find you on socials and stuff like that.
So, Slippery Pete, at Slippery Pete 145 on Instagram, Slippery's World on Twitter, Slippery Pete or Peter Barrett on Facebook should find me. I'm pretty sure I still have a website. I'm not 100% on that, but slipperysworld.com. If the domain is still up there, that's my website. If you want a shirt that's on there for sale, message me on Instagram. We'll work something out. I don't know. We're gonna leave that part alone. So yeah, we'll go from there. Find me on Instagram and hit me up.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And as always, the people out there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Good vibes to you. Peace out.
Hell yeah.